Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where we have coffee, check, books, just around me, so check. Actually, the book that we are about to review, check, and rain, not a check. We are into the fall season here in Alabama, and we started off this morning, and I thought it was going to be this great, moody sort of vibe because I walked my puppies out, and it was about 7 a.m., and it was drizzling, and I was like, yeah, we're going to have a moody, like, kind of fall day. And now it's about 12:30 in the afternoon, and sadly, it is a really pretty day. So I'm about to get out and go do stuff, go run a couple errands to prepare myself for tomorrow. And I have to do it in beautiful, sunny weather that is about 80 degrees and kind of perfect. So, I know, darn and heck. But, on this channel, we just love some good moody weather when we talk about good moody books. I just love good moody books, especially during spooky season. Now, this book is not spooky. However, it is emotional. It is pretty tragic. It is hard hitting. And it is very much a roller coaster of, self-discovery, self-identity, and all of the rest. There's so much going on in this book that I feel is an important conversation. So let us talk about Andrew Joseph White's Hell Followed With Us. Now, this is the second Andrew Joseph White book that we are doing this month, and it's just because I, one, really love his writings and have kind of wanted to prioritize reading and finishing his books. So I think I'm also going to find The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, find a physical copy, because I had previously had The Spirit Bears Its Teeth on NetGalley, but I didn't have a physical copy. But I think I'm going to go get a physical copy and then come back on this channel and review it, probably for October, just so I will have done all three books for this channel for you guys to be able to decide if you guys want to go out there and read it yourselves. I find his works to be absolutely phenomenal. They do not pull punches on kind of telling you guys, or telling the audience, telling readers what it's like to be a trans individual. Now, in both of the books that I have, reviewed this month, we have encountered characters who have been trans identifying as male. And in the first one, we had Miles, who was in Compound Fracture. In this book, we have Benji, or Benjamin. And this one is a little more sci-fi, a little bit more post-apocalyptic. And the other one is a little bit more, I guess you could say, general fiction with some magical realism. So let us dive into Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. And we're going to read the summary and then dive into my review. Prepare to die. His kingdom is near. 16-year-old trans boy Benji is on the run from the cult that raised him, the fundamentalist sect that unleashed Armageddon and decimated the world's population. Desperately, he seeks for a place where the cult can't get their hands on him, or more importantly, on the bioweapon they infected him with. But when cornered by monsters born from the destruction, Benji is rescued by a group of teens from the local Asian LGBTQ plus center, affectionately known as the ALC. The ALC's leader, Nick, is gorgeous, autistic, and a deadly shot. And he knows Benji's darkest secret. The cult's bioweapon is mutating him into a monster, deadly enough to wipe humanity from the earth once and for all. Still, Nick offers Benji shelter from his ragtag group of queer teens as long as Benji can control the monster and use its power to defend the ALC. Eager to belong, Benji accepts Nick's terms until he discovers the ALC's mysterious leader has a hidden agenda and a few more secrets of its own. So, it is considered horror, fantasy, queer, LGBT, young adult, and dystopia. So those are some of the genres that it falls into for the Goodreads kind of genres. This book was first published in June of 2022, and it's about 400 pages, so kind of giving you an idea of how big it is. Now, this book does actually have a little bit of an excerpt of Spirit Bares Its Teeth, so there are a couple pages towards the back that have about, like, I would say the first chapter of Spirit Bares Its Teeth, and that's a little bit more of kind of a Victorian setting, and I think that would be the first one, if I remember correctly. It's been a minute since I read that one. Well, we won't dive into Spirit Bares Its Teeth until we actually dive into it. So let us dive into this one about Benji, Nick. We have also got Theo and all the other characters found within. Now, I love the fact that Benji starts off with a very supportive father. However, they start off on the run. Benji and his dad are on the run from this cult that is trying to turn Benji into this almost avenging angel. Benji has been infected by what is called the Serph. Now, there are these other beings called graces, but the being that is inside of Benji is called the Serph and can control graces. And I don't think he's newly infected, but he is pretty recently infected at the beginning of the book. So as the book progresses, he is pretty much kind of falling apart from the inside out. And it's kind of gross because it is unpleasant there's a lot of what I would call body horror as body parts kind of fall off. And so I will just let you be aware that if that is something that's triggering for you to have like body parts kind of just falling off, such as like pieces of the face sloughing off and those sorts of things, if that is something that you're not able to palate, just be aware. That is part of the process of becoming the Seraph for Benji. It is not something he wants. It is not something he can cure. It is just something that has been done to him, and he is unable to control this process. So he is also having to try to hide this process from this new group of LGBTQ plus teens who he has now been able to find that accepts him as this transgendered boy that he identifies as. So he loves his new community, and because he feels accepted by this new community, they intentionally welcome him as the person that he is. And he loves that because his old community, the one that turned him into the Seraph, still sees him as his old dead identity, and that is not who he is. So he wants to be here at the ALS or ALC. But a couple other things come up along the way while he's at this ALC. And Nick, though Nick is kind of the one who brought him in and brought him under the wing, some things start to come up about that are concerning. Well, Nick is autistic, and I will say he has a hard time verbalizing some things. And so when he's confronted, sometimes he also has a hard time speaking. Like he almost freezes in a way to the point that words don't come out. And so Benji confronts him about something that one of the other kids or one of the other teens has said that Nick has been saying. And honestly, Benji didn't believe it. He said, this is what so and so, and I don't want to give too much away because I really want you guys to read it in order for you guys to understand kind of how this book plays out. And the reason I think this conversation is important is because Nick was trying to distance himself from caring about from caring about Benji because of what he felt like he needed to do in the future. However, like Benji already felt like part of this community, and so of course the words really hurt and just needed to hear it for himself. Um, Ultimately, things get resolved, and let's just say things move forward. This book is very hard hitting and is a great conversation with regards to LGBT teens trying to find their place, especially at the end of the world, trying to find survival at the end of the world. And at the beginning of this book, there is a letter from the author that actually does say that. If you set a fire, you're going to inhale some smoke. And So Hell Followed With Us is a book about survival. It is a book about queer kids at the end of the world trying to live long enough to grow up. And I think that's such an important conversation because when the world has ended, like as this book portrays, a lot of the adults, most of the adults, have turned their backs on most of the queer kids in the community. Like, it does not seem as though they're adults in their community. And so they are trying to find whatever way they can to survive in a society that has pretty much turned their back on them. And so it is so important for them to find that community. And I do really love this conversation that's being had in this book, and the way that they have to find community within themselves, but also to have those conversations with each other as well. Otherwise, their own society is going to collapse when they can't trust each other. And honestly, it's just an overall really good book. And I want more people to know about these writings, and I want more people to know about his books because, especially in today's world that's constantly changing, the diversity and the inclusion just needs to be there. And that's why I'm highlighting these books. I only recently discovered him last year when I read The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, and have been actively seeking out his writings. And so this is the very first book of his 3 books that I've been able to find. So even though Spirit Bears Its Teeth was the first one I read, it will probably be the last one I review for this channel until we get more writings. And again, Compound Fracture just came out at the beginning of this month. It's the newest release and the first one I got to review for you guys. So let's go out there, make sure that we read and we just provide a level of understanding for this kind of portion of the community, because it's not an easy aspect. It's not an easy, I guess it's not an easy place to be in life. And I think just continuing the conversation is just so incredibly important. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And honestly, really good, just a dystopian post-apocalyptic book. I grew up in when I was younger. Now, my parents grew up more so in a severely religious, like fundamentalist sort of religion. I had exposure to that, but was not kind of forced to be in that sort of significantly religious sort of setting. I actually had a lot more freedom, and so was not like, honestly, I was kicked out of kind of a me and my brother both, we were we were told to leave at one point when we were about 8 or 9 years old because we started laughing and my uncle was preaching. So because we just got the giggles, and we were told to leave because we couldn't stop laughing. We couldn't take it seriously because we couldn't figure out, or at least from my perspective, I couldn't understand I couldn't understand a God, or I couldn't understand, yeah, I couldn't understand a God that was not accepting of everyone. If you tell me to love one another, but then you don't love everybody, like, it just sounds like you're talking out of both sides of your face, and I just don't understand that. And yeah, it never really made a whole bunch of sense, because it just sounded like you were picking and choosing what you wanted to pick and choose, and it didn't make any sense, and it still doesn't. So let's just love everybody and accept when your religion tells me to do harm or to hate discriminately. And I don't like to hate with discrimination. I think that's inappropriate. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I love openly and as freely as I can. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you'll like and subscribe. I'm just here to review books, but I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.